the biggest scars that I have of my life are the ones who took me the further. And then later I look back and I'm like, I wished not to stutter so much. And this has been one of the biggest lessons for me and how it kept me grounded. And growing up, I prayed, God, can you have me in a wheelchair and not have me stutter? Like, that's the level. Anyone who stutters understands this, but anyone else does not. How difficult is that? But then I understand it didn't happen to me, it happened for me.
Veljko, thank you for coming on the show. My first question, what does it take to be a successful entrepreneur?
Oof. We were not prepared for any questions, so this is an interesting one that we can just openly speak.
Yeah.
A life of always wanting to be successful. Mm-hmm. I think that's extremely important. In my instance, I always dreamed of being an operator. I grew up around entrepreneurs. What does it take? It takes everything you got plus a little bit more. Mm. Yes. I was really blessed to grow up in a family of the entrepreneurs. So my dad was a general contractor. My mom was a CEO of a textile company. So I grew up in an environment of the managers, leaders, and always around the business conversations and things. So I was extremely lucky.
So when you interact with the most successful entrepreneurs that you come in contact with in your day-to-day life right now, what are some of the common traits, backgrounds, things of that nature that you've seen from the highest level?
Yeah. What's interesting, I look at the entrepreneurs as the two individuals. So one is the founder, and then a second entrepreneur is the CEO. So even though someone is a CEO of the company someone else found, they're actually an entrepreneur. So it's two individuals that I love to study and understand what does it take to create such a high level performance. Now the other side is just, we spoke earlier, we're so lucky, so blessed that we're in Naples, Florida, a land of business. There's more CEOs and founders of the companies per capita than anywhere else in the world. So extremely lucky that we can be around 1% of the 1% of the 1% of the 1%. I call them champion business Olympians. And both of these individuals are very different. How I separate founder from a CEO, because founders have extremely deep scars. Founders are the ones that experience sleepless nights because of inability to pay the next set of paychecks. Mm-hmm. Payroll and meeting the payroll is one of the biggest pains you can ever experience.
How did you make it through that phase of your business life?
So sales restaurant that you know and everyone knows in the community is actually my business number 7. So there is lots of successes, lots of failures in a process. I see them as a learning lessons. So every one of them was a little bit bigger of the ability, a little bit bigger of the ability. How do I, what it took, how it worked, is just so many. I see life as a highway with a lot of exits. I was just so lucky that I took some right exits, but really on the first place, reason of our success and why everything worked out is the community. We have an amazing community here. If we have done what we do, many other places in the world, it wouldn't work out.
What was the first business that you started with?
Yes. So let's actually, my first job. Let's talk first about the first job so we can get into. So as my dad was a general contractor, at the age of 5, there was not many things that he could give me to work on. One of the first ones was a magnet and a bucket. If anyone has grown up in construction, you know, job site, there's a lot of nails everywhere, and it's very costly on the equipment. So one of the easiest jobs on construction site is having someone to go around with a magnet and a bucket. That was my job from about the age of 5 until the age of 7, and they paid me per bucket.
How much
Yes.
did they pay you per bucket?
I don't remember. It was a long time ago. But that was actually one of the first jobs. So it's interesting. He didn't pay me per hour. He paid me per bucket. So you know how much I hustled. I was looking for the nails all over the place.
So did you always, because of your environment, desire to be an entrepreneur?
Very good question. It was not even questionable. It was just because of the environment that I grew up in. I had to push myself to be successful because that was failure or not being, that was not an option. And it's so interesting. I study a lot. Is it a nurture or it's nature? And I find, and I love asking these questions to lots of individuals. It's really both. But the third one is also luck.
Now that's what I wanted to, I love that because I've been reading a lot about luck. There's a couple different levels of luck. Dumb luck, which is just, you know, you pick up a $100 bill off the ground, dumb luck. There's luck that you work for. You work so hard, so often, and so much that you create your own luck. And then you have this last level, which is you're so sensitive to opportunities around you. You have such a good intuition that you're basically what you are. You're the magnet on the bed of nails, finding the nails because you're so attuned to what luck looks like. For your career, what did you think was your most prominent form of luck?
I think it's definitely number 2. So I worked so hard and I was so present that I was open towards the opportunities. But I never thought it's working hard. I always thought about that's more the things that had to be done.
How did you find what you wanted to do?
Everything with me that I have done, I always really stumble upon. So it wasn't a mentorship. It wasn't originally my family thought that I should be a banker. I was really good in math. I was really good in physics. I was really good in school. And it's so interesting also. It's questionable why I was so good in school. And why the question is because my mom had such a high expectations of me and my older siblings that only once I got home with a B. And it was almost like end of the world. So for me, B's were not an option. Like throughout all elementary school, all the high school, B's were not an option.
Because
So such a high expectations.
So then
I'm wondering, is it that I had it in me, or is it that I was trained not to take anything that's not an A?
Do you think that most good entrepreneurs, like we've talked about this off camera a lot, this idea of the broken kid, the kid that goes
poor broken kid is the one that I always want to bet on.
Yeah. Did you,
or I call it scarred.
When you stumbled into what you built, did you use a lot of like, how did you measure pain? Because where you came from, obviously you can get into it or you don't have to, but wasn't easy. What most kids our age go through here in the States is like the best day of the best days that you guys had from where you're from. But do you think that gave you a level of pain management that allowed you to become the person that you are today?
Definitely gave me a level of gratitude and groundness. That's an extremely important component in anything that you do, because now we have changes in environment, changes in economy, so many changes. But with me in the last 5 years, we just spoke about earlier, I was always so grounded. I study this a lot about me, because the CEO of the company should have actually both. He should be grounded, but he should be extremely bullish.
Mm.
And it's about the balance. And I'm more about stability than being bullish. So then I wonder how much fuel I don't add into my organization because of my mindset.
Interesting. So you feel like you can at some points be your own bottleneck.
Yes. And I am. I'm the bottleneck organization because I overstress on the details and I overcompensate for stability and I overfocus on everything.
How do you counteract that?
By having around me individuals of a high level success that see more, like a coaches, and having the team around me that's more bullish and is pushing me. Like I'm so lucky, my wife is extremely bullish, so she says that I'm extremely slow, and I'm slow because I'm meticulous.
Mm-hmm.
I never step into anything until I don't over research it. So my way in a bullish economy is not good because many move a lot faster, but on a downturn is amazing.
Can we get into one of the most significant downturns that we've talked about a little bit off camera, and how you maneuvered in world of restaurateurs when COVID hit? It was the end of a lot of people's business. And for you, it was one of the most
best.
Successful times. Explain the mindset around that, and two, some of the tactics that you employ. Like for the audience listening, this is mind blowing.
Yeah. So first, I would like to share with everyone one thing that no one ever shared with me, which is life is in the seasons. So really, what I am, I'm a farmer. I'm from the village. I grew up in a village. My family's from the village in Montenegrin Mountains. We're farmers. And the number one most important thing that every farmer knows, that there's 4 seasons. There's a spring, there's a summer, there's a fall, and there's a winter. And it's in my gene and my DNA that you do not plant a seed in the summer. Because if you plant the seed in the summer, what's going to happen with the drought? It will die. You have no more seeds. So you need to know, when do you plant? When do you do which of the things? And that's exactly how I see life. I see life expectancy is about 80 years, and I see our lives are split in the 4 seasons. So me, I'm in a fall of my life. You two are in a summer of your life, and you need to make sure that you do everything exactly like that. There's also cycles. So when the COVID happened, around that time, I was expecting a cycle.
You were anticipating it.
I was anticipating it. And we were sitting on liquidity, and we manage our business very frugal, very very strategic. So that's why we were able to pivot in that moment. But then at the same time, I have, after a highest level of gratitude and appreciation for the community, second most important component is the team. So I knew that we worked so hard on building this team and having these individuals that share values with us, that see this business the way that we see it, the ones who are high performance type 8 individuals, that for me was not an option to just go and furlough them. That was not an option. So on that night after shutdown of all the restaurants in Naples, I didn't sleep that night. And then in the morning, as you know, every morning I go for a run. I went for a run, and that's when the idea happened.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so interesting. Every time when there's the highest level of pressure, that's the times that I come up with the best improvements. So actually, I time myself and push myself into the pressure, because in those moments, I come up with the best improvements.
How do you deal with good times?
Good times create, actually, let's reverse it. How you deal with the hard times. Hard times create strong men. Strong men create the good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create hard times. So I always think of it's again, it's a cycle. So when it's good, I'm celebrating, but I'm making sure in those moments we're piling up and getting ready for the winter. Because winter is coming. Every farmer knows when there's a good time, this looks like a fall, and there's a plentiful of vegetables and fruits and things we got to pickle. We got to put stuff away because that winter is coming. And let me tell you, in my village in Montenegro, I grew up around wolves and bears. They were my pets, not by choice. And when these pets in the middle of the winter are hungry, they're hungry.
Do you think that same thing goes for the winter in business seasons? That the
100%.
wolves and the bears come out?
Wolves and bears are coming out and they're going to chip on you or on your cattle. So you better be ready. You better have a stockpile and you have a lot of ammo, a lot of fuel, because you might lose some electricity. You better have a generator.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you know, like a story about the three piglets.
I'm not familiar.
There is that cartoon, the story of the three piglets and the big wolf.
The big wolf blows the house down.
Oh,
was the
yeah, yeah,
house.
yeah, yeah.
You know, so I always want to be that piglet that has concrete house. Doesn't matter how much the wolf is blowing, we're inside having a good time. And I'm expecting that the wolf is coming.
So from that perspective, then, how can you ever truly be present in the good moments? Because in a lot of ways, entrepreneurship and just being a part of like a startup business in general it's mentally taxing. It takes a lot out of you mentally. And I've been thinking through this a lot. It's hard when you have, like, a lot of people have all these different goal sets. They want to be fit. They want to be rich. They want to have a happy relationship. They want all these different things. And at the root of all those things is a lot of suffering. You have to go through a lot of things. And I think in a lot of senses, even in my own life, I've had too many aspirations or too many things that I was trying to be great at. And what that creates is just this overall sense of I'm not good enough for this moment. So how have you balanced the good times in terms of being okay with, hey, things are good, let's celebrate this, but at the same time, mentally knowing, you know, the storm's coming and I have to be humble enough to not, you know, drink too much of my own juice right now?
Yes. The best thing is growing as a poor scar child. You constantly think you're not good enough. That's the best thing ever. And you always have to, and when the times are good, you're not drinking that salon. I'm the best guardian of 65,000 bottle wine collection we have because I would never open up that bottle of salon for myself. Even in the best of the times, best of the celebrations. I mean, I do, and I'm generous, and I celebrate with the team, but I'm always thinking all of this can vanish just like so. So how is that? Keeps me in check. Being a poor, scarred child keeps me in check, keeps me grounded. And then when these ever great things are happening, I'm always studying and analyzing how do we minimize the downside. And the downside can happen so easy. I mean, we have seen now in the month of April, 11 local restaurants shut down. These were some of these restaurants were open for a decade or longer. The hardest thing in restaurant business is the first year. Second hardest is the third year. You think after 9 years of being in operation, 99% of the restaurants survive? Multiple out of the 11 have been open more than a decade. Shut it down.
What do you think the root of that was?
Too many moving parts. Too many moving parts, not maybe focusing on the right segment of the market. I see mid-segment of the market is brutal.
What does that mean?
Mid-segment. So in the hospitality, in restaurant sector, you have a sector based on per person average spend. You go from, let's say, McDonald's, that would be some of the lowest span pizza place, some of the lowest, and then you go all the way up to the sales, which is the highest per person average in Southwest Florida. And that's the segment. And then you have middle, which middle is the most challenging because there's the most competition.
Butcher's Private is such like an interesting idea. When you were starting that, did you get a lot of people that were like, "What are you doing with this?"
I still get asked. Just this morning in preparation for your podcast, and when I got a haircut, and I love going into the barber shop because there's always 5-6 people around me. Whenever I show up, they're asking me questions. And the biggest mystery of everyone is I drove by and there's no cars. I drove by
I've heard that
and there's
so
no
many
cars.
times.
And then they say, but we drive by on a Saturday night and we peek through and we see it's really busy, but outside there's only like a 5-6 cars. How does this work? Yes. Like this is the biggest questions that I get always. And so many times I get asked, do you mind when you're free sometime if I can have just a walkthrough and see the place? So I have one of the regulars of the sales restaurant. I'm meeting her at 4 o'clock this afternoon. She just wants, after 2 years, she just wants to see it. What does it take? She asked me, she was at sales on a brunch on Sunday and just asked me, anytime when you're free, I would love if I could meet. She's such a nice lady. And she's a high level real estate agent here in our community that's selling high level price. And he's been just wondering. I'm like, no problem. When are you available? Let's look at the calendars. Let's meet over there. Let's have a tea and let's have some of the best mochi in Florida. We have a mochi master that makes mochi from scratch.
That's great.
So good. So good. Fresh, handmade mochi.
I feel like Butcher's Private's like Naples' best kept secret. Like everybody knows it's there, but nobody knows what's going on.
The Pinnacle does.
Yep.
So it's for like I've heard these bigger brands, like take Ferrari for example, they don't invest in traditional marketing. Why? It's because people that are watching TV aren't going to decide to buy a Ferrari because of a TV commercial. Butcher is this in the restaurant world. You like we've talked about like how you do sales, and it's so interesting. Like if you ever get the chance to sit down with Veljko, maybe not on camera, but off camera, he'll walk you through it. Your mind around marketing is so it's so insane. I've never seen anybody that thinks like this in the restaurant world. Butcher it's a secret for 99.9% of the world. They don't even know how the business operates. They just drive by and they're like, I'd never seen anybody there. But how at the same time do you market something like Butcher compared to something like sales?
So it's interesting. Butcher is meant never to be marketed. So that's the biggest thing. Think about it. Butcher Private, executive chef for Wellness Side Inn, longest standing 3 Michelin star restaurant in the world. He's with us. Executive sous chef of the Ritz London. He was the favorite of Her Royal Highness, late Queen Elizabeth II, is with us. Executive chef of the Bill Bouquet. All of us that love to party, we think of the parties in Bill Bouquet. He's with us. Japanese omakase master chef is with us. Zuma influence, and the slang goes on and on and on. That's the level of the culinary. You know that we are known in the community for impeccable service. And impeccable service can only be seen as impeccable service if it's wrapped around the highest level of hospitality. So that we have all made in-house because of this program of a luxury hospitality academy. That's how we train. That's how we assemble. And both of these segments that are super high level elite are only 1% of the experience. 99% of what is the community. And community is who is in the club. And in the club is 1% of the 1% of the 1%. Last Saturday night, I was there working as a maitre d' on the front door, and as these individuals were coming in from about 6 o'clock, and there was a horse race, derby.
Yep.
Who was in that one room? like the pinnacle of pinnacle.
Hmm.
And I'm so lucky and grateful to have an opportunity that I can serve champion business Olympians on that level in a month of May, when it's really an end of the season.
Yep.
Most of the high performance, high level individual and community anymore. And at Butcher Private, we had the pinnacle.
Something that blew my mind was like we've worked in restaurants for years, and like the steps of service, like how the normal restaurant has what, like 50 something steps of service, and how many steps of service do you have?
So Forbes five star in the restaurants requires 85 steps of service. That was the base where we started. We're 126 steps of service.
Everything's just perfect.
Why is that? Once you have a steps of service and everyone buys into the steps of service as a culture, all of us, we worked as a servers. So what this gives, it gives you a framework or a structure. No one is forcing you in any of the steps of service. But once you see that these steps of service help you not be stressed, be more like a Jedi or be like a Matrix, where it doesn't matter how busy you are, you're gliding on a lake, super smooth. And that's the moment, because you have these steps of service, that's your foundation, that you can really bring out your personality. And what I want more than anything is that every one of our members of the team feels really good and is super happy where they work. But the only way that we can, because restaurants are all about, let me have a happy staff, let me make sure everyone's happy. You cannot, happiness is the art. Math, steps of service, is the structure. If you don't have these two, art is a chaos. Steps of service are single dimensional. So what you have to do, you have to marry these two. And that then becomes the dance, which what you experience when you come and enjoy sales is the dance. But you have to have these two. Because then what happens is what everybody sees, which is the highest level of hospitality. But you need to have a match between standards, organization, and the art.
So with such high expectations, when you're trying to create the highest level of hospitality, how do you consistently find employees that are going to meet that standard? Because I know in the restaurant industry, the turnover is probably, generally at least, insanely high.
Yes. So everyone is giving us compliments on how we train, that we train like a military, that we super regimented, that all the steps of service, everything is. But really the secret is we don't hire. What we do, we recruit.
Explain that.
I've understood about 5 years ago, until 5 years ago, I thought that I can change anyone. I thought I have some superpowers and I can change anyone. I also thought I can change my dad. How silly of me. Yes. So I understood that you cannot change anyone that doesn't want to be changed or that doesn't want to improve. So then that's when we started looking for the individuals that love improvement, that have shown a track record of high performance. Because let me tell you, the most beautiful thing that happens in a team, and the number one reason why I work and why I love being an entrepreneur, is working around type A individuals. Because when you're around the type A individuals, you become better, stronger every day because they challenge you. I want to be challenged. Every day, my life mission is only about two things. And number one is growing. So what I love to. First, I was always, until age of 40, about growing myself. And then something happened that I understood that it's all about growing others. So that's what I love. I love seeing growth of others. But as my team is growing and becoming better, you know what happens? They suffocate me, force me to be better. That's a number one. And then number two is giving. And that really came from my childhood, because Montenegrin hospitality is all about generosity. So I love when I have an opportunity that I can be giving and I can. So going back into your question, That's really, so what we're looking for, why do we recruit? We're looking for individuals that see what we see. Luxury hospitality is extremely, extremely challenging. No one would like to do it. Everyone likes to experience it. So in order that you're interested in providing the luxury hospitality, highest level of the selfless care, because you caring for others, that's a luxury. That you care for others on a highest level, that's a luxury. That's not so much in us humans.
Are you
So we're looking for very, very particular individual.
Are you recruiting from Florida, from the country, from all
Worldwide.
Worldwide.
And there's no barriers for us. I have failed in one area. I have not interviewed anybody from Mars yet.
Do you find that you get better service, better recruiting employees from outside of the United States or within the United States?
No. What is the easiest? The easiest is to recruit from US. That's the easiest. But the one amazing thing of being a number one best country in the world, number one best economy, is that there's so many other opportunities. So for us, we need to overcompensate so much to find good kids from the good family that are super driven, that were type A individuals, A grades in the school. That's so rare. Because just think of somebody like me, if I was from US, I would end up in a private equity.
Fair.
I would not end up in a restaurant. So what we need to do, we need to find from United States, maybe kids that had someone in hospitality, kids that were super driven and that had an interest in working in hotels. You see, luxury hotels are a great magnet for high performance overachievers. Restaurants, not so much. Because if you get asked by anyone in your family what you're doing, I'm working in a restaurant. That's not really glorified. Even though, let's talk a little bit more about that, how amazing opportunity is for anyone who wants to be an entrepreneur to actually work in a luxury restaurant, because it's so regimented and so many things. It gives you tremendous abilities to go from a bench press, which what I do every day, 500 pounds, change and go in another sector, and all of a sudden you sit down, you push the point. What is this, 150 pounds? So much easier because we have so many moving parts and we work for the humans with the humans. Extremely challenging. So let's just go back into your question. And the question was, how do we find these type A individuals in US? Good kids that went in the hotels, in luxury hotels, have started in a Forbes 5-star top level hotels and then recruit from over there. And a reason why, and I know this better than anyone else, because I started just like one of those kids, type A, best in the school, a management and training program, Ritz-Carlton, top level hospitality brand in the world in that moment, 25 years ago. How can we find those kids? And the number one thing that the type A individuals miss in those hotels is those hotels are never ran by the founders.
So from like a learning perspective,
managers.
So like a learning perspective, you don't get
different thing. Founders, as we spoke earlier, do not work for the salary. Founders work for the legacy.
That's
money doesn't matter.
I have a question for you. What do you hope at the end of your career is your legacy?
Very good question. So what I again, because I'm a farmer and it's 4 seasons, the life expectancy, if I'm lucky, is 80. Every single day after 80, I'm going to say God has been very good. Extra gifts for me, good angels. So I'm thinking 80. So ahead of me, I have next 35 and a half years. And what will be my legacy? My legacy will be the team. The team that's known of an individuals that perform on the highest level, the team that's known for generosity, the team that's known for taking care of others, individuals that are grounded, individuals that are growth oriented. That's really what I've been known for. All about the team.
So, since we've met, I've always wanted to ask you this. So, from the day that we've met, I've noticed about you that you are always analyzing and reading people. So, like, for example, even remember when you met Braden upstairs, some of the questions you were asking him were blowing my mind. What are you doing with, like, how do you do this? And like, what are you looking for? Like, when I feel like you try to get to the bottom of a person as fast as you possibly can, no matter what. First time you meet, the questions you're asking.
You're good. And for me, it's a little bit strange because what happens? Any interactions, I'm always the one that's asking questions because I'm on your podcast, and I really appreciate this opportunity that you open up that I can be in front of your community, and I'm in your home, so I cannot ask questions. So it's kind of strange for me. I'm always the one that's asking questions. And one of the things that you asked me in the past is when you're interacting with these CEOs, founders of the companies, these champion business Olympians, what are the things that you love learning from them? And one of the biggest lessons is, for me, recruiting and interviewing is tremendously important. So one of the biggest lessons that I learned from them, I ask them, can you please share with me one best question that you have used in the past and that you use all the time when you're interviewing leaders that has worked to help you drill in the bottom of their core to understand where they're coming from? So let me ask you that question. Out of all the questions that you have used in the past, what is that one question that for you is the driller that you get into the core of an individual and their belief system?
I think it's like, again, I'm early on in my career, but I think the question that I always usually start off with is, why are you doing what you're doing?
Okay.
So what is your why? Because
White.
yeah, it's what, like the why behind the what. Because I think what I've learned when I ask this to entrepreneurs, I think it's really fun because you get to see, similar to you and similar to most of the people that I've met that are really successful in what they built, their why is so much more connected. Like, people think that money is the money is God in the game of business.
Scorecard.
It's a scorecard, and the greater levels that you go, the more that money just becomes a digit on a spreadsheet or in QuickBooks or whatever. Most of the time, the most successful people that I've met, their why is connected to what I believe one of the core parts of life is, which is the mission behind why do I show up every day. And the earlier you are in your career, the earlier you are in life, it's harder to answer that question. But why I like asking that question, especially no matter if you're 15 or 30, because the most successful younger people that I've met, they're at least trying to get to the bottom of that. The easy answer is, well, I want to be rich. But the question is, when you get rich, what happens then?
Well, like, think about like a rich in Naples. Rich in Naples is nothing. Rich Naples. When there's the highest level of wealth on planet Earth. Last week, 3 residential real estate transactions happened in one community about 100 yards from each other at $500 million. Just take a moment and think about that. $500 million in a 3 homes residential transaction in Naples, Florida.
In 3 days.
In 3 days.
Crazy.
We are so lucky. This is a very special place. And these 3 transactions that happen are not the most expensive home that will be selling soon. That's at $295 million.
Yeah. Obviously, Naples is beautiful, but there's a lot of beautiful places in this country. There's a lot of, even more in the world. What is so special, do you think, about Naples specifically?
100% who is in community. Here in our community, we have a highest level of champion business Olympians. In the most difficult and most challenging sport in the world, sport of business. we have gold medal finalists in each sector. Huge.
Only if somebody would open.
Going back into the questions, what is your question? What's your driller question that you like asking?
Oh, Jamie's the one that does most of the interviewing.
Okay.
I don't do the questions. I more observe. I just like to listen.
Okay. Let me share with you a few, and I'm not gonna share mine. I will share the ones of my mentors.
Okay.
Alex Tgorsky, chairman of Johnson & Johnson. Amazing. I'm so grateful for all the time that he has invested in me. One of his top level question is, please name 3 individuals that have reported to you and where are they at now because of you.
That's a great question.
This is like an X-ray. Tells you everything. And I mean, now anyone who's watching the podcast, if I interview them in the future,
They're going to be ready to go.
they will be ready with that one. But in about the middle of the interview, you ask that question that tells you an X-ray of an individual.
I remember you asked Braden, you're like, it's like, what's your favorite memory from ages 4 to 7?
Okay. Do you know why do I ask that?
Why?
Our brains are formed age of 6 through 9. So what I do, I love knowing who did what age of 6 through 9.
6 through 9, that's what?
6 through 9, that's that age. And that's when we started from 5. From what age of 5 we remember things. So I want to know, what does that person remember in the age of 6 through 9 and what kind of things have they done? One of my first memories is nails and magnet.
Huh.
Yeah.
Making money.
Yeah.
One of my first memories. And there's so many more of the businesses and the things that I have done.
Do you find that if you ask that question to a lot of, like, even on the younger side of Americans, you just get like video games, you know?
So it's interesting. Really good question. I love to mentor age of 14 through 18. And why I do this? Because I want to be an uncle that I needed when I was that age. And just on Saturday, there's an organization, it's called Biz Kids. They did on Saturday in the mall fair. And I went around the room and I spoke with some of these kids. And out of a group of about 20, I highlighted about 4. And these kids are amazing. So when we talk about, is it nurture, is it nature, or it's a luck? So now what I tried, I messaged to all of them. They had my cell phone number. And then I seek, if they need this luck element, how can I help them guide them into the right exit off of that highway that will take them into the Autobahn? That's my number one passion. I want to see how can I help someone that's super driven, that's willing to give what it takes to create high level results. And maybe it's just introducing them with a high level mentor or high level relationship or high level something that can take them into the next level. And if I can be that, that's for me the highest level reward, because I love seeing growth around me. And ultimately, I get asked a lot, what do I do now? What's my value? My number one value, I'm the conduit. On Saturday night, when all of these things were happening and these individuals were, arriving, I knew everybody in the room. You know what I did? I'm like, Mr. Smith, I need to introduce you with someone. And then I walk him into the other side of the room and I'm like, you two are in the same sector. You should work together. And then I just leave. And do you know how many interactions like that I have made on Saturday night? And then I step aside and I see, and then the next day I'm receiving text messages. You're brilliant. Let's connect us.
That is the most important thing I hope people take from this. So often, especially early on in the entrepreneur, one of the best pieces of advice you gave me at my phase 25, still building, still early on, is you said never put people over money, or never put money over people, rather. And this idea of what you're talking about, the being the connector, being somebody that can be this, when you are so hyper focused on trying to take yourself to the next level. You're trying to achieve a monetary goal or whatever. You will go to somebody and completely disassociate from what they need and skip right to the point of, can I take something from them in this moment? How did you learn that?
For me, let me share with you. I love being of service. That adrenaline thing that hits me when I introduce someone and I know these are two high-level champion business Olympians, and then I see little me, the peanut in a group. That's a chance to connect two champion business Olympians, and then I step aside and I'm watching it. It's like a highest level of service that I can be. And I get asked a lot. I introduce some individuals that stepped on some high level boards and things, and I always get asked, what's in it for you? I said nothing. And do you know what's the best of all of this? Real estate agents work for a commission. Insurance brokers work for commissions. Everyone constantly has an alternative motive. I don't. My only motive is that I want to be of service to my circle. That's my only thing.
So for young entrepreneurs, people that are just starting a business, is that how you create such a big network? Like by putting people over money always?
Let me share with you. If I could go back and mentor these individuals, 14, 18, I would tell them all, you need to, while you're pushing the school, that's the most important, while you're pushing the sports, number 3, get yourself a job in a top level restaurant in your community. Whatever is the pinnacle, best of the best restaurant, that's where you have to be. And then whoever is the organizational individual, is that a founder or general manager individual that's really seeing the whole thing, you need to figure it out. How can you be on a highest level of service to that individual? Those individuals are usually super busy, but these individuals can always take some help because they're so busy. So if you can be of service to that individual, what happens? You penetrate in that organization like a USB into the brain of the organization. And more that you are service to that individual and more that you're helping them, you are getting an endorsement. Think about the highest level is to see more and to be endorsed by the circle of influence. And anyone who is an operator, the highest level in a super hard to get in luxury restaurant, is always a magnet, and around them are high performance individuals. Think about, this is a cheat code. This is the matrix golden key that you can get to an individual of trust. Number 1. Number 2, if you're not going that route, if you're maybe like an introvert and you don't want to be, but you love numbers, you love things, you know what you do? You study in that community that you're in, who are the wealth managers that manage the most wealth. And this is public information. You line them up, who's managing the most wealth, and then you know what you do? You find a way through your relationships how you're going to get close to one of them. And then you do exactly the same thing. Can I wash your car? Can I shine your shoes? Can I do your dry cleaning? What can I do? Because again, wealth managers are the individuals on a planet Earth that are the most trusted by the champion business Olympians.
So good.
So this is 2 cheat codes. And you know what would I do? I would play both.
Yeah. I think that, especially today, like people see the wealth manager or see the owner of the restaurant and want to be him tomorrow. How do I be him tomorrow? And you skip over the shoe cleaning step.
Interview the best of these wealth managers and ask them, how many years have you been building this book of business?
Right.
20, 30, 40 years.
Nobody wants to pay attention to that.
Ultra focus, and that their dropout rate in the first year is 80%. Out of 100 people that go into wealth management, 80 drop off in the first year.
It's even like, you can take you for an example. Like you can take you for an example where you're super successful right now. You have these restaurants. You walked in here today. It could be easy for me and Jane to be like, oh, I want to be Veljko tomorrow. How do I do that? But you skip over the nails in the bucket, and you skip over the other 7 businesses that you started to get where you are. I just think there's such a hyper focus now on how do I get rich fast, instead of like, how do I better myself? How do I start a business?
Number one thing that until maybe a decade ago, I did not realize, like everyone thinks about the money. Money is just measurement. Everything ultimately is a measurement of productivity. All of us, we get ranked, we get paid, we see the results based on how much productivity we give into the community, into the circle. I wish someone ever explained me this. It's all about the productivity.
It's interesting too, because one of the first questions everybody, like if I were to meet someone new, one of the first questions I always get asked, or honestly, I even ask, is, what do you do? Like, what do you do for work? Like, that's your number one measurement to show how much respect should I show this person. How much money do you make? Right?
And the thing about money that I'm now learning, and learning from somebody like you, what people think money is, right, is they think it's the activator for a better lifestyle, for a better car, for a better house, which is these things are in a vacuum true. Yes, you can achieve these things as a business owner. Before you hit that 10-year, that 10-year of like, I've ran this business for 10 years. Money is really, truly, even when you see like our company as it's grown, you always think like, oh, this is the moment that I'm going to be rich now. This is the moment that I'm going to be rich now. And every time that I've had that expectation, I've been disappointed. Well, why is that? Because if you're truly building something for the future, money is a tool to build the base of the company, to activate the opportunity to be around for longer. It's not for this quick hit of dopamine that gets you the nicer car, that gets you the nicer house. Because in a lot of ways, and this is what I talk to a lot of people about now, is that's the trap. It's the second you get into the nicer house, the nicer car, what happens? You are now, especially if it's not from an investment and it's just from like if you're one business and that's what pays you, that's what gives you the house, that's what gives you the car, the opportunity of how you're going to operate that business now changes because you have something to maintain. And the worst mindset in being a builder, especially a founder that I've seen, is the politician builder that comes in, they don't want to rock the boat, they don't want to change things, they don't want to make things too much better or too much, because they're worried about that lifestyle. They're worried about the flexibility of their own self versus focusing on the level of service you provide, or how long are we going to be able to be solvent if X, Y, and Z happens. Why do you think people get so caught up in the right here, right now monetization trap?
That's how is the whole Western world built. That's how the whole Western world is built. Instead of waiting a decade, let's cap that. Let's see what can we get as a future revenue. Instead of waiting and saving for the house, you buy that big house now. But then what you do, you end up as 9 point something trillion dollars of debt that's maturing in June. And that's what's worrying me. Now someone will have to pay that interest that is going to be what, 4%, maybe 5 on a $9 trillion starting in June. That's a lot of productivity that has to go into the bucket that someone have lent that. Ultimately, some institutions are the sovereign funds, the countries, they have pour all of that into this debt. And that's a $9 trillion. And then that trickle down everywhere. So our Western society is running on credit. Not me. I have no credit. Every transaction that I do is out of liquidity.
How do you, what's your measurement now? Like, where do you get your dopamine from then?
Giving and growth. That's for me. Saturday, walking around and meeting some of these kids and seeing future, and then talking with them and giving them a little guidance. And then a few of them are going to be around me, and I'm going to see that, or my members of the team, with conversations with them and helping them gain more clarity and grow more and take on more. That's for me huge. I love seeing growth. And it's interesting, these growth and giving is actually overlapping, because when you give, you see more growth. So I just love that.
Yeah. Are we able to talk about some of the new projects you have coming up?
Yeah, we can. So interesting things are happening. Is as you see, 11 restaurants shut down, known restaurants shut down in April, and in the same time, we're opening a couple more new ones. So number 3 is opening, is a Japanese chef's table. We know it's an omakase experience. 20 courses, super high level. Something that does not exist on that level in the state of Florida yet. That's what we're opening in about 8 weeks. But it will open very quietly.
Why is that?
We just like that. And a reason why, maybe with the sales restaurant, when we opened, we were crucified a lot. You know, opening a public restaurant is a quite challenging experience, because on the one side, I'm all about standards and about everything, but really what I am, I'm an artisan of service. So if someone is a critic of service that does not know what does it take, it pains me. Because it's like you walk into somebody's house and you see this amazing chair that they handmade over 5 years, and they pour their life and soul and tears in this chair. And then we walk in and we say, oof, my chair from Walmart is so much better.
That's real.
Because it's perception, and it's not that someone says my chair from Walmart is so much better is a bad person. They just have a low level of clarity.
It's that man in the arena idea, where you have the art critics, the food critics. These people they run their lives by looking what other people have built and picking out the things that aren't as good, or something that's better, and they have no idea. I think there's 2 main skill sets that I've seen over everything, overall my entire career, has been the most successful. Your ability to communicate your mission to others, and your ability to build in the background. So being able to build and sell at the same time. And most people know how to sell. The hardest piece of this is knowing how to build.
How to build, because anytime you want to build anything, you can build it by yourself. You're not in a vacuum. So what you have to do, you have a certain vision and certain things and end in mind, but doesn't matter how much time you pour into someone else because you need a skill set. You are telling them about an elephant and you go into specifics. It's 7.5 tons, great color, big ears, has this, has that. You explain them everything. And then if you leave them on their own for a month or 2 months, they come back with a giraffe. And then next time, because ultimately then you cannot blame them, you can only blame yourself. It's not their fault that they brought you giraffe. Is that your blueprint was not detailed enough. But then after one giraffe, what you do, then you find someone who can hear you, who has the ability to document that in a software, and then you triple check, analyze everything, remeasure everything, and then all of a sudden you give that. And what you give is just the one dimension. So what ends up, you receive nice gray hog that's with a big nose. And you say it's good. It's good. Now we got a hog, we're improving. It's not giraffe anymore. So by the 7th model, then you ended up that actually you became a better version of yourself. And now you're better with communicating how does that elephant look like. And it's in a process. It's nobody else's fault. 100% your fault, because you did not have ability to see the future clear enough and know what pieces do you communicate to who to take everybody across the bridge. That's your responsibility. 100% founder's responsibility is to see everything in the future and to have a fear in their stomach and be hungry because leader eats last, but in the meantime, to propel this positivity about a bright future. And as everyone is crossing the bridge into the abyss, to push them to step forward faster and get mission accomplished. That's the hardest part of building.
What has kept you grounded?
Poor, scarred child. I constantly think I'm not good enough.
Does that not create some level of unhappiness?
No, actually, because on the other side, I'm overly confident. It's something that came in my genes. Like Montenegrins as a nation, we're overly confident. And that's why you cannot see, or very rarely, Montenegrins high-level champion business Olympians, because we're overconfident and we get ourselves in trouble all the time. So for me, if I don't have this grounding, I would be going into some big deals and chase some butterflies and get myself in a lot of trouble.
Interesting. My last question, what are the habits that you do on a daily basis that keep you grounded? So obviously you're saying remembering where you came from and the fact that you're not where you want to be, but do you have any day-to-day things that you do?
I don't believe in this. You go in the gym 3 times a week. My brain doesn't work like that. My brain works every single day is the same. I don't know, maybe some other, I know that I'm not really good. So that's why I had to build some things around me, processes and things. With me, only things that work are the things that I do religiously 7 days a week. Because if I don't do it, there might some thoughts come to my mind. Maybe I skip this day. So like this, I do it every single day. Every single day, I wake up in the morning. Every single day, I go for a run. Rain, shine, doesn't matter, busy, not busy, I do it. I like going in the bed at the same time. I like waking up in the same time. I don't sleep a lot. I like fasting in the morning, as you know. I drink water in the morning. It gives me a lot of clarity. I drink smoothie, green smoothie, only vegetables and leafy greens and avocado and everything organic. That's my thing, and that carries me until about 2 o'clock. I think that's tremendously important. What's amazing about my sector is because I really have 2.5 jobs. So I have one job that's a job of the builder, the one who is recruiting, who is having these relationships, so many things that I have to do every day, which is working on the business. And then my second job is I work in the business. So most of the time, or almost every day, you either see me at sales or you see me at the butcher. I'm either at the front door or I'm on the floor. Why is this also amazing and why is this luxury hospitality amazing? Is because when others go to socialize, you know what I do? I go and build relationships. Every single day, I meet between 30 to 50 new contacts. 30 to 50 new contacts. 30 to 50 new contacts.
How do you organize them?
How do you remember all their names?
Yes. So there's some things that I do and I share with you in some instances. When someone is a higher level individual that I want to interact with, I do something. Let me grab my phone.
Yeah.
So I can show you.
Yeah.
My phone is in my pocket. And when I am speaking with someone, I pull my phone out and I do one of the two things. If someone is a very high level champion business Olympian, out of the respect, I ask him, what is the best way we can stay in contact? Please share with me your cell phone number. Please.
904
904
655
655
4720.
20. So what I do now, I would say already, but what I do now, I text you my first and my last name. Thank you so much. We continue with the conversation. Second thing, if someone is not a high-level champion business Olympian and it's multiple of us in the group speaking, what I do, I press here plus. Let me go back here, contacts, press plus, I hand you the phone and I say, please go ahead and save your contact information. Why do this? It frees me up to talk with everybody else in a group. While you're saving your contact information, my thing, as soon as you save that, go ahead and I text you my first and my last name. This phone number, this phone, the contacts in it is worth $1 trillion. Every single day, every single day, every single interaction.
Damn.
That's sweet. That is sweet.
How to?
Yeah, you're operating.
I want to share with you that this is only 1%.
What's the other most important piece of it?
99%, which is the hardest, is follow-up.
Yeah.
I just gave you how to, which is amazing. Took me so many years to build this, trials, errors. This is how I got cell phone numbers of the highest level champion business Olympians. These cell phone numbers are never shared. One individual that we know, extremely high level, builds now one of the largest properties in Southwest Florida, the highest level, sat at sales. After a few minutes conversation, I do exactly the same, pop my phone out, and I said, what is the best way we can stay in contact? And I get his cell phone number. No one has his cell phone number.
Yeah, no.
I do.
Is that confidence piece? Because so many people are afraid to do that.
Confidence comes from the small winnings.
Yep.
So what you got to do, you just got to deploy it first on your neighbor, next in a grocery store, next on the girl, on someone, and it keeps building. And then when you need to push yourself to the events, and you have to do it. Now, the biggest thing of everything is, do you think I'm an introvert or I'm an extrovert?
I think you're probably an extrovert.
I'm actually an introvert.
Crazy.
I train myself.
Well, I think there's something interesting there. I hear the labeling that people put on themselves all the time. And it's when you get really in tune with it, you realize how toxic it is because you only live up to the labels that you create for yourself. So if you are an introvert, you are going to create the habits of an introvert. If you're like, and the reality is as humans, we're so dynamic. We're truly not one or the other. We can build, we can learn, we can adapt. Like you're saying, we can nurture ourselves.
Up to the certain point.
Okay.
Up to the certain point. Because what I do, I challenge myself constantly, how I do it. Best thing of everything that happened to me, and it's so interesting, the biggest scars that I have of my life are the ones who took me the further. And then later I look back and I'm like, I wished not to stutter so much. And this has been the biggest, one of the biggest lessons for me and how it kept me grounded. And growing up, I prayed, God, can you have me in a wheelchair and not have me stutter?
Wow.
Like that's the level. Anyone who stutters understands this, but anyone else does not. How difficult is that? But then 25, 30 years later, I understand it didn't happen to me, it happened for me.
That's the truth. I have one final question because I'm so curious. How, if ever, do you relax, vacation? Do you have any process where like your wife will be like, hey, we got to get away? Or like, what is like a relaxed day or like a recharge day in the life of you look like?
He just got married, so he's struggling with it.
So what both of us is so important that in a partner, you find someone who is like you, who has same interest. Like we love exploring. Like if we have a couple of the days free, we love going up to Manhattan because it's a great city just to explore. And what we do, we're super regimented. So we schedule everything, what we're going to do. And what is interesting for us, That's really what we do. So we get lots of ideas and lots of inspirations and the things that we love. So like that's how our little vacation would look like. Interesting thing, we have not taken any vacations for 8 years.
Holy smokes.
So no vacations for 8 years. First 5 years, we worked 7 days a week straight. Corinne has been planning this trip that's upcoming. That trip is actually my recruiting trip. We're just going together. She planned it out so good, and it's all the top of the restaurants in Europe and all the top places. And for me, is an opportunity. Every restaurant that I go to, after I taste something, first thing that I do, I need to compliment the chef. Please introduce me.
So you're going to other
phone,
restaurants?
I pull my phone out, and what is the best way that we can stay in contact?
So this is the point that I want to make sure people hear. There is no escape.
Mm-mm.
You have to find something that you love to do so much that it's play.
Yes, all the time.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you cannot be an Olympian. How are you going to be hospitality Olympian if you are working 40 hours a week, 60 hours a week? That's part-time.
Yeah.
Before Wednesday, I already crush you. I'm 60 hours a week already.
And if you see Veljko walk in your restaurant, hide your best stuff.
I don't recruit locally, only internationally. Yes, and we're going into the next level. So for us to break the next level, which is that 3 Michelin star level, the only restaurants that I recruit is on that level.
Well, I've appreciated this conversation a lot. You are a one of one.
One of a kind.
If you guys are interested in connecting with Veljko, you can find him outside of sales. You can't find him at Butcher Private. So you can.
Or you can find me on LinkedIn. So please add my first and my last name. Add me on a LinkedIn. Let's connect and just message me, and let's find more ways we can collaborate. We can synergize. I thank you so much for the opportunity to speak in front of your community. You two are amazing, and I'm so happy that you do what you do in our community. And let's elevate everything that we do.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Have a good one.